Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to show you in this video how to do a really neat blanket stitch like I do on my felt animals here. So this is going to be a quick basic tutorial. You will find a more in-depth one on my channel. If you're new here, I'm B, and as you can see, I love cats, and my channel is all about teaching you to make your own adorable felt miniatures of your pets, particularly cats and dogs. So give that a subscribe, give it me a comment if you liked this video and if you would like to see more. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you on some really contrasting colours. So I've got dark felt here and I'm using a bright pink embroidery floss. But when I'm sewing my felt animals together, I usually use a white or just a complementary colour to make it quite subtle like that. But for this video, we're going to go right back to basics and keep it really simple, which is why I'm using a contrast colour so you can see it really well. So I'm going to get my embroidery floss. I've got DMC brand here because it's really nice quality. And I'm going to cut off about 50 centimetres, no longer than my arm. And then I am going to just separate off one strand here to make a nice subtle stitch like this. But there is also the option that you could use more strands to make it more of a feature if you wanted it to be nice and chunky. So that's just your preference. But I'm just going to show you on one strand here to show you how I get my really neat subtle stitching. So I've separated that off by just pulling gently. And then I am going to tie a few knots on top of each other on the end of my thread. And then that means when I start stitching together, that will secure it nicely so the thread doesn't pull through. And I'm just going to go ahead and thread my needle, and I have my felt here. So we're going to go along these two edges here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the thread up at the point I want the stitch to start. So the point, how far in you bring your needle up will determine the length of the stitch. So I've pulled that tight, and then that knot there has been secured on the inside, and it's kind of sandwiched between the two layers like so. And then I'm going to bring the thread over and bring the needle up again at the point I want the stitch to start. So I usually go quite close to the edge with my stitching to make the stitches small and a bit more subtle. And then what I'm going to do is just before I pull the thread tight, you'll see it's created a loop here, and I'm just going to bring my needle through that loop, and then you see as I tighten it, it's catching the thread like so to make a little loop over the felt. And that's my starting stitch. And then again, I'm going to repeat that, bring the needle up at the point I want the stitch to start. Just before I pull it tight, you have that little loop, and I'm just going to take that through like that. And that is how to do a blanket stitch. So I'll just show you that one more time. Bring the thread up through the loop like that. So I've just sped it up, but I would recommend doing some practice like this on a nice straight piece of fabric to practice before you start. And then you will make gorgeous felt animals like this. There's a tutorial for Maurice, the cat I'm holding here, to make him step by step if you're interested on my channel, and I take you through the stitching there too. But